Today's lesson is over ratios. The main idea is writing ratios as fractions in simplest form and determining whether two ratios are equivalent. The new vocabulary for today is ratio, which, as we've covered before, ratio is also known as a fraction. That's also mentioned in the main idea, writing them as fractions. For an example for a ratio would be 4 over 6. Equivalent ratios are going to be two ratios that are equal, just like fractions are equal. So an example would be 2/3 is equivalent to 4/6. Simplest form in this situation would have been 2/3, because 2/3 cannot be simplified anymore, whereas 4/6 could be. The key concept is a ratio is a comparison of two quantities by division. It can be stated in several different ways, such as 3:4, 3:4, and 3/4 are all potential ways. Algebraically, it would be A to B, and A over B. Example 1 brings us as writing ratios in simplest form. Oranges. Miss Gale bought a bag of oranges. Using the table below, write a ratio comparing the Florida oranges to the Mandarin oranges as a fraction in simplest form. So obviously keyword here is simplest form. That should bring to mind the L method from chapter 4. So Mrs. Gale's oranges, we are comparing Florida oranges to the Mandarin oranges. I see Florida oranges down here, and I see Mandarin down here. So we have 6 on top for Florida oranges. I'll just do FL so I can remember my label, and 24 on bottom with MA for Mandarin. So now, to get this in simplest form, we can use two methods. We can use the L method, and 6 and 24 are both divisible by 6, so 6 divided by 6 is 1. 24 divided by 6 is 4. This will get us our simplest form of 1/4. Otherwise, we also, if we had seen that it was divisible by 6 right off the bat, could have went divided by 6 on top, as well as divided by 6 on bottom. Again, that is a note to remember that whatever we do to the top, we have to do to the bottom in order to keep this ratio equivalent. Example 2, a garden has 10 weeds and 24 tomato plants. Write a ratio comparing weeds to tomato plants as a fraction in simplest form. So again, with 10 weeds and 24 tomato plants, we're going to have 10 on top for weeds and 24 on bottom for tomato plants. I see right away that these are both even, so I'm going to divide both by 2. To get 10 divided by 2 is going to give me 5, and 24 divided by 2 is going to give me 12, and that is my final answer. That's 5/12 is our simplest form. Example 3, determine whether the ratios 5 apples to 15 oranges and 12 apples to 36 oranges are equivalent. So in this situation, we have to write down our two ratios, so 5 apples to 15 oranges, and on this side I'll just write A for apples, O for oranges, equal 12 apples, and again, apples have to be on top, that's why I wrote the A over here, and 36 oranges. So again, A on top, oranges on bottom. And so to compare these, we're going to cross multiply, so 36 times 5 will be our first math here, so 36 times 5 is going to give us 180, and 15 times 12 is going to also get us 180. Since these two numbers are indeed equal, those two ratios are indeed equivalent. So they are equivalent. And for homework's sake, you could probably just write equivalent. Example 4, determine whether the ratios 3 cups of flour to 8 cups water and 5 cups of flour to 14 cups of water are equivalent. So again, we are going to write our 3 to 8 ratio, and then we're going to do a question mark equals to 5 to 14 ratio. So again, we're going to cross multiply here. I'll do 8 times 5 first to get us 40, and then we have 14 times 3 gets us 42, and 42 is not equal to 40, so our ratios are not equivalent. So not equivalent is going to be our answer. Everything else we wrote is going to be our work. Example 5. Determine whether the ratios 3 burgers to 8 fries and 12 burgers to 32 fries are equivalent. So 3 burgers to 8 fries, is that equal to 12 burgers to 32 fries? In this situation, I see that 8 goes into 32 4 times. We multiply by 4. So because of that, we can see, does 3 times 4 equal 12? 3 times 4 indeed does equal 12. So showing that as my work, again, just on homework, we'd have to write the whole problem down on our sheet. Being able to see that they both multiply by 4 tells me that these ratios are indeed equivalent. Pools. It is recommended that no more than 1 person be allowed into the shallow end of an outdoor public pool for every 12 square feet of surface area. If a local pool shallow end has a surface area of 2,400 square feet, are the lifeguards correct to allow 200 people into that part of the pool? So, I saw that we have 1, I'm going to put P for people, for every 12 square feet. Is that equal to our 200 people? Notice we have to have people on top. That's why I'm doing my labels here. Over the 2,400 square feet. So I'm cross multiplying. I have 2,400 times 1 is going to be 2,400. And then 12 times 200 is also going to give me 2,400. 2 times 12 is 24, add the 2 zeros. So since they are equivalent, the lifeguards are correct, would be the answer for this one. Are correct. Example 7. Cars. A business claims that a BMW gets 25 miles per gallon. So right off the bat, I'm going to write 25 mi for miles over 1 gallon. If they get 300 miles on 1 tank of gas, and a tank of gas holds 15 gallons, is their claim correct? So again, now we're looking at 300 miles for 15 gallons. So since miles were on top, we're going to see, I'm going to put miles on top again, over 15 gallon, and see if they are equal. So we're going to have to do 15 times 25. And I know that 15 quarters are going to get me 375 cents. And then 1 times 300 is going to be 300. Times 1. And since 375 and 300 are not equal, the claim is incorrect. And so that will end this video. Don't forget to check out the tutors and quizzes if you need some extra help in quizzing.